Pinwheel, Covetous Demon, Deacons of the Deep. 10 out of 10, IGN, best bosses, all time. Fight me, bro.
Wait, you gotta include the Celestial Emissary from Bloodborne.
I don't like Bloodborne. Everybody was just triggered from that. What is up, guys? Welcome back to Gaming in the Garage. I am the Chivalrous Toaster here with...
The best boss ever, the Deacons of the Deep.
Yeah.
Right?
They're terrible.
Dragon of the Deep.
Their area's annoying.
Yeah, it's
I feel like their
Have
areas...
you fought the Bloodborne spider?
No.
You can get a ring. I'll show you where to do it.
But their area's worse, more challenging than they are.
Yeah.
You can fight them in like 5 seconds. So, I just beat Ornstein and Smock today. And I thought, you know what, let's do a top 10 or top 5 bosses. Not going to do top 10. Whew, don't have that much time.
Come on,
but
Watch Mojo.
Yeah.
Watch Mojo.
We got to crank out videos like Watch Mojo, like 4 or 5 a day.
Watch Mojo.
So, how we do lists on this channel is I have 2, Dragon Warrior here has 2, and then we agree on 1. Or we make a top 6 but call it a top 5 anyway. So, why don't you kick things off, Dragon Warrior, with your number, I guess, 2.5 boss.
2.5?
Yeah.
Like Lion King, 1.5?
Yeah, the crappy one.
So, I started off with probably one of the best boss fights from a PSP game. Probably one of the best fights in this entire series, which I've talked about probably too much on this channel. It's Kingdom Hearts, and it's Master Xehanort from Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. So, you actually have to fight this guy, I think, 3 times. You fight him the first time as Terra, and it's like an easy cakewalk, and it's supposed to be like that, because it takes over Terra's body, and then Terra's soul is basically trapped inside his armor, and then you have to fight him a second time, and that's the one I'm really talking about. But then you also have to fight him a third time, where he's basically become Terra as Aqua, and that's even harder. But I remember the Terra fight more, because it had a lot of really cool mechanics. You had this thing
Terra is way cooler.
Terra's pretty cool. You get his ability where he shoots these, like, shadow snakes, I think is what they call them, out of his Keyblade once you get his Keyblade. But he did that. He jumped around the arena a lot, teleported, did this thing where he sent meteors down. Super tough fight, and so you're just sitting there, like, pounding away at this dude. I think he could heal himself, and then when you finally beat him, you get, of course, that relief, which is pretty much why this video is here. You get that relief once you beat those good bosses, and you're like, oh my gosh, freaking finally,
yeah,
I beat this boss. And the cool thing is, you get his weapon. You get his Keyblade, and it's got, like, this eyeball, and it's got, like, a lion on it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I beat that game too many times, and every time I played through the game, he was the only boss that ever gave me any sort of challenge.
Except for, you didn't take a whole bunch of times for Master Arrakis? He was pretty tough.
Not as much as him. I mean,
he was tough.
Xehanort is just
Arrakis.
Like a retard, dude. I hate fighting him.
He was tough, for sure.
The picture that I got pictures of all these bosses because, you know, I have a computer and I can't record my PSP, though I do own the game still.
Pretty fun, though.
I got the picture of old him, because whenever I see the young him in Terra's body, I just think of Terra, and I'm like,
weird.
Yeah, no, I'd rather look at an old Asian guy.
But the cool thing about Master Xehanort is he's actually played by Leonard Nimoy. So, Spock.
Wonder how much they paid him for that.
Probably a lot.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, though.
Yeah. Alright, so my first boss on this list is Metal Man from Mega Man 2. Now, these bosses aren't like necessarily like Xehanort was, the most challenging boss in the game, arguably.
Yeah.
These bosses are just our favorites of all time. And Metal Man is just the first boss I ever beat in Mega Man, just like the series. And Mega Man 2 is the only Mega Man I've ever beat.
Besides Mega Man X8.
It's the easiest one. That's the easiest Mega Man ever. But Mega Man 2 is really easy compared to the other ones. And the one boss that you have to fight first to even have a chance at the rest of the game is Metal Man. His music is super dope. We did a top 5, or not a top 5, I don't remember, but a list of the best music in video games. And I put Mega Man on my list, Mega Man 2, and some of the music that I put in that video was Metal Man's theme music because it's so good. And his weapon that you get, the saw blade, is the best thing that you can get in the game.
You don't like the leaf shield?
No, I don't. I think that's dumb. But I love it because it just makes the rest of the game easier to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he's the boss you're supposed to fight first. I think there's one boss that's actually weak. I think it might be Leaf Man that's weak to your blaster.
Mm-hmm.
But you fight him first anyway to beat the game. That's why he's my number one, or first one on this list.
Oh, yeah? Sounds good.
Yeah.
I had never played that one, but I trust you that he's good.
Yeah, he's fun.
So I guess I'm supposed to go now?
Yes.
Okay.
That is how lists work.
Is it? Lisps?
Yep.
So I could talk like this?
Don't.
So my next one is I think he's like 9 or 7. It's Colossus. It's the Dragon Colossus from Shadow of the Colossus. I could have put any of the 15 other than maybe the first one because he's pretty lame. But any of the other 14 Colossus, because you have to fight him in such unique ways.
So, all of the big golem ones, except for the final one, are pretty boring to fight. But all of like the animal themed ones are super fun, and this one is the only one that I ever had a challenge with because it's annoying to figure out how to do it.
So what about the sword guy that you had to climb his sword and he slammed it down? That's pretty unique.
Yeah, but I think all the animal ones were just a lot better.
I think the sea serpent one was the one that gave me the most issues.
I was scared fighting that one.
That one sucked. But this one was cool because you had two. So you go into this thing and it's basically like most of the other game where it's just like a big open area, and then randomly this giant dragon just flies in on the field, and you have to ride aggro right alongside this thing and shoot down air sacs, and then he'll lower. Then you can climb him and stab him. Then he throws you off, and you have to keep repeating this. And it sounds awful, but it's super cool to watch this thing fly around, and you have to just...
Yeah, and
so cool.
I think what that game does, even though it's just boss fights, I think that game has some of the best boss fights there is. And it has to be, since that's the only thing in the game to do. And this is one of the most, I don't want to use this word, I hate using this word for video games, cinematic boss fights.
It was
because
pretty cinematic.
You're riding a horse, shooting arrows at a dragon to get it to come down so you can jump onto it.
It was so cool.
It's like the coolest thing that I can think of to do in a video game. Just the relief that you feel from beating this boss is almost as much as you get from beating that final boss.
Oh, yeah.
Because this boss is more time-consuming than difficult, but it's not repetitive, I don't think. It's just, it takes a long time to do it, and it's fun. It's so much fun.
It feels awesome.
Is that all you have to say about him?
Yeah, I mean, other than just the fact that he's a dragon. I mean, you can't understate the fact that he's a dragon. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And if you haven't played Shadow of the Colossus, just real quick, go play it. It's like
it's
the
kind
best.
of tough to play it nowadays.
You get it for PlayStation 3.
I say if you still have your PS3.
And you can probably get it download from a PlayStation 2 emulator and play it.
If that's the way you roll.
Yeah, if you're fine with pirating.
But it is worth it.
It's fun. It's a
a
ton of
great
fun
game.
So, all right. My number one, I guess, the other one we agree on, but the Pursuer, I think, is one of the better bosses in Dark Souls 2. He's probably my favorite boss, and one is because of the music. The music for this boss fight is so cool, because you jump into it, and the first time you see him, if you don't beat him at the beginning when you have the chance to fight him near the first bonfire, he flies in, and he just jumps down and his eyes turn red, and this music starts and it's like chanting, and then when the boss fight starts, you can just hear this drum beat in the background, and the longer the fight goes on, the more the music ramps up, and it just gets so intense, and it adds to the experience of this boss fight. But what I think is the best part is, like a lot of the bosses in Dark Souls 3, when he gets about half health, he'll start to like try and stab you with his sword, and it's pretty much a one-hit kill. I think it might kill you or it might curse you when he stabs you with his sword, and that just adds to the tension of this boss fight, making it that much more challenging for you. And it's probably the first boss in the game that is challenging because the last giant is kind of a pushover. But this guy, his intro is super awesome. His music is really cool, and the boss fight is fun. If you're good at parrying, I think you can parry him, then shoot him with the ballistas. But that's not fun to do, and you're a loser if you do that. Actually, if you can do that, it's really cool. So, the Pursuer. I don't know how far you got into Dark Souls 2, Dragon.
Not very. I mean, I saw you fight this guy, and I think I might have tried him once and lost to him. He's cool. I agree he's cool. I don't really have that much of an opinion just because, again, I didn't really get through Dark Souls too much.
I don't know. A lot of the people complain that Dark Souls 2 bosses are big guy with armor, and this guy's a big guy with armor. But I think out of all of the big guys with armor in this game, he's probably one of the better ones.
You don't like the Stone Sour looking at you through the glass knight?
No, he's
looking
pretty.
At you through the glass?
He's pretty dumb.
Don't know how much time's passed.
Number one
Number
is
one.
the Abyss Watchers. Now,
Pretty cool fight.
you've been watching me probably die to the Dancer over and over again. And if this was just me and I was making a list, I would have probably just put all Dark Souls bosses on here, and she probably would have been on here. Just because I have fun fighting her. I'm just fighting her when you're not supposed to. The Abyss Watchers, I just beat them the day we're recording this, and they're pretty fun to fight. The first part, when you get in there and the first one spawns, you think it's going to be a super easy boss fight because you attack them and it takes out a huge chunk of their health. And then the second one spawns. And the third one spawns. And you could be just getting raped by these three guys. That sounds weird. If you didn't know what we were talking about, that sound weird. But these guys will kill you if you don't aggro them correctly, if you don't let the two guys fight each other, if you can get them fighting, and then you just take on the main one.
Makes it easier.
But the true awesomeness of this boss fight is from the second phase, where you kill him, and you best hope you didn't use up a lot of your Estus in that first part, because he pulls out like a fire sword. He like sucks up all the blood or something from everybody else, and then he gets super pissed, and he will just charge at you with that fire sword. And in the clip that I have where I beat him, I summoned somebody, don't make fun of me, but we beat him in like a couple minutes. Every time I tried to do it by myself, it was pretty much a Dancer fight where I would get hit by the last hit of a combo and then die.
He definitely has some long combos.
So, I don't know what your experience...
So, I beat him in 3 tries by myself.
Oh, that makes me feel bad.
And I think it was just because I played kind of, not exactly, but sort of similar fights in Bloodborne. He reminded me a little bit of Father Gascoigne.
He's very Bloodborne-y, even his look.
He does look a lot like he actually kind of looks like Father Gascoigne a little bit. I was able to cheese Gascoigne with the whip, though, so I wasn't able to do that in this fight. But I did beat him in 3 tries. I think the coolest part about this boss is the flips that he does, and the fact that when you get his sword, you can do the same flips.
Yeah.
Super cool.
I don't know. I don't really like the swords in this game. I pretty much use axes. Those are my favorite weapon movesets. But the flips are cool. It's just like, not exactly like, but Artorias' sword, where you could do the spin move.
That's exactly what these are. These are the Abyss Watchers, and Artorias is he's the Abyss Walker.
He's the OG.
So these guys are basically kind of like Artorias.
And the only reason why we put this on the list is because I think this is like the first Dark Souls 3 boss that you should really challenge you. When I say really challenge you, the area that you have to go through
pretty rough.
Is annoying. Which I think it goes back to the Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls type of areas where it's a long way to get to the real bonfire. You can get to the other bonfire, which is annoying how they're so close together. But going through the area and then coming and fighting these guys, it's so intense. And the first time you play through the game, if you haven't really looked up anything on how to beat them, or you aren't playing a certain way, because if you're playing very aggressive, they're kind of a pushover.
which is exactly
if
what
you're,
I played.
which is why people I think who come from Bloodborne probably have an easier time with this fight because their attacks are very telegraphed and slow. But if you were playing normal Dark Souls where it's slow, you're watching them trying to learn their moveset, they can really challenge you. And it's, I don't know, I think it's a good Dark Souls 3 boss in
I'd say so.
the early game. I'd say like the first third, or I don't know how long this game is, but the first part of the game, they're probably the best boss.
Yeah, I mean, none of the other bosses are really all that memorable. I mean, you had, like, the Nasty Tree guy, and you had the Crystal Sage, the Deacons of the Deep. I mean, there's nobody who was, like, really memorable, and then you get to this fight.
Yeah. So, that's our list of the top 5 bosses of all time. If you have your own list, please put it down in the comments. If you hate us for not putting any Dark Souls bosses on here, tell us down in the comments why we're wrong. If you did enjoy the
I
video...
was gonna say, people are gonna be mad you didn't put Ganon from Legend of Zelda.
no, he's dumb. So is Legend of Zelda. If you like Legend of Zelda, that's okay. You can like it.
I was gonna say, you're about to trigger some people on that one.
If you did enjoy the video, leave a like and subscribe.